Hi guys, it's time to watch horror movies again. Today we continue with the classic horror series, Behind You, 2020. A girl is telling her younger sister a scary story when suddenly her sister knocks on the door. Mom says wash up and go to bed, she told them, then told her sister to go into the bathroom. Seeing her sister scared, she comforted her by saying that it was just a scary story that wasn't true, then suggested that her sister open the music box to brighten the atmosphere. The director's intention with this shot of turning the music box is to use it to create an eerie and tense atmosphere, setting the stage for the appearance of the evil spirit. After winding the music box, younger sister walks to the bathroom. Meanwhile, her boyfriend sat down next to her and they were talking about where to go tomorrow, when she suddenly realized that her sister had been gone for quite a while. No matter how she calls out, there is no response. Curiously, she gets up to check and finds younger sister standing motionless in the bathroom. She worriedly asked what was wrong, while younger sister was speechless with fear, pointing at the mirror opposite. "40 years later, Olivia and Claire were forced to move to their distant aunt's remote home after their mother's unexpected death. People say that their aunt's house is an old, creepy mansion. And Rachel, their deceased mother, is Aunt Beth's older sister. Ever since their mother died, all the mirrors in the house had been covered by their aunt. Right after Olivia and Claire arrived, their aunt immediately told Camilla, who had brought them there, that she didn't want to take them in. Aunt Beth thought the children would be safer with Camilla, but Camilla said that she and her husband were too busy to care for the children. Furthermore, the children's father was currently working abroad, and would come back to pick them up when he could be contacted. Hearing this, the aunt finally agreed with Camilla, and then led the two children to their mother's old room. Then Aunt Beth began to introduce them to the house rules. Be in your bedroom by 10 o'clock sharp, no going to the kitchen before mealtime, and most importantly, when using the bathroom, never remove the cloth covering the mirror. Most importantly, never go into Aunt Beth's study, and stay away from the basement at all costs. However, upon hearing this, Olivia became interested in the basement, thinking that there must be something hidden there that shouldn't be seen. Then their aunt led them into the living room and asked if they remembered all the rules. Claire immediately nodded, but Olivia remained silent. Claire quickly urged her sister and told her to ask the doll she was holding. After seeing Olivia nod, Claire explained that since their mother passed away, Olivia has not liked talking to strangers. Once the aunt received confirmation from both of them, she left. When Claire returned to her room and was packing her luggage, she picked up her clothes and turned to put them in the closet when suddenly the bathroom door opened. But Claire was completely unaware of this. After finishing packing, she saw Olivia sleeping soundly and didn't want to disturb her, so he left the room. At dinner that night, Charles mentioned that he had added a lot of peanuts and sesame paste to the food. After eating, Olivia suddenly had an allergic reaction and collapsed to the floor, struggling to breathe. Luckily, Claire quickly ran into the room to get medicine, injected Olivia, and she gradually regained consciousness. After that, Claire went into the bathroom to wash her face. When she looked up, she suddenly saw that the mirror was covered with paper, but a small corner was peeling off. Curiosity got the better of her and she nervously opened the corner of the paper, revealing a mirror underneath. As soon as she tore it open, the reflection showed a strange woman suddenly appearing in the bathtub behind her. But when she turned around, she found nothing there. As soon as she tore open a large opening, she was sure she saw the woman lying in the bathtub. Night had fallen. Olivia suddenly woke up with a start and heard whispering from the doll placed next to her. Olivia curious, the little girl reached out and picked it up. Suddenly the doll spoke, telling her to go down to the basement. At first, Olivia thought going would anger her aunt, but the doll suddenly transformed into her mother and spoke. Mom knows where the basement key is. Hearing that, Laura immediately hugged the doll and went to look for the key. When she gets to Aunt Beth's study, she finds her aunt drunk, and then the doll says the key is in the drawer. Under the guidance of the doll, Olivia quickly opened the drawer and saw a small box. After opening the small box, she found the basement key. After opening the door, Olivia went into the basement. Halfway there, the little girl was so scared that she didn't dare to go any further, but the doll kept encouraging her, and finally she made it down to the basement. As soon as they stepped inside, a candle suddenly burst into flames. There were also many mirrors around the candles. She placed the doll down and picked up the candle. Suddenly a voice came from the mirror beside her. and Olivia mistakenly thought it was her mother speaking to her. Then she continued staring at the words written on the mirror, which clearly stated that she is Olivia's mother. Olivia saw the scene and asked urgently, "Where is Mom?" The figure in the darkness sighed softly. "This dark place. Mom want to get out so much." When Olivia reached the third mirror, someone asked if she could help them escape. After seeing Olivia nod, another mirror quickly displayed a spell, and Olivia had to read it over and over 3 times before she could break the curse.
"Mirror, mirror, open wide. Let the spirit come inside."
After Olivia recited the spell 3 times, an evil spirit appeared behind her. The next day, when Claire woke up, she discovered Olivia wasn't in bed. While her aunt was still asleep, she quickly went out searching. No matter how loudly she called, Olivia didn't respond. She came into the living room just about to go out, when suddenly a cabinet nearby opened. With a nervous heart, she stepped forward to investigate, and soon discovered Olivia curled up and hiding inside. She curiously asked Olivia why was there. Olivia said that Aunt wanted to harm her, but Claire thought Olivia was lying. Then Olivia said she would take Claire to check it out. She led Claire to their aunt's study, where they found a newspaper that stated their aunt had killed her mother and sister. Seeing this scene, Claire could hardly believe it, and then she and Olivia left from inside. After she returned, she immediately called Camilla, hoping that Camilla could come and pick them up. At this time, the aunt had arrived at the study. When she opened the drawer, she discovered that the position of the box had changed. She picked up the box and shook it to check if the key was still inside, but eerily noticed it seemed like someone had tampered with it. She emotions instantly became tense. During dinner that night, the aunt spoke with hidden meanings, testing the two of them. She asked Claire if her father returned. Would she prefer to stay here or leave with him? Claire replied without hesitation that she would leave with her father, while only Olivia continued eating her meat heartily. These unusual behaviors have already caught the aunt's attention. When asked about it, Olivia said she would rather stay here. Claire looked at her in disbelief, while the aunt realized something was definitely wrong with Olivia. The next morning, Claire was jolted awake by Olivia's voice. She woke up and saw Olivia clutching her stomach. It was covered in blood. Soon, Olivia began to act strangely, standing up to grab Claire's neck and glaring at her fiercely. Thankfully, the aunt heard the commotion and rushed over. When she opened the door, Olivia put Claire down. When asked what had happened, Claire hurriedly explained that Olivia had been acting extremely strange today. Their aunt immediately said she would go find Charles for help and take Olivia to the hospital for treatment. But deep down, the aunt was more certain than ever. Olivia was now possessed by an evil spirit. Claire came out and saw her aunt talking with Charles. After seeing Claire, both of them appeared very nervous. Then Charles instructed Claire to wait in the car while he carried Olivia down. Claire had just gotten into the car when she suddenly noticed something in the back seat. Lifting the cloth, she discovered a knife and gun. Seeing this scene, she quickly got out of the car and walked towards the house, because Olivia had previously told she that her aunt was a murderer. She began to worry about Olivia's safety, but as soon as she entered, she found the aunt standing opposite she, holding water and sleeping pills. Then, Charles appeared and closed the door. At that moment, their aunt asked Claire whether Olivia had gone down to the basement, because Olivia's eyes looked exactly like Rachel's. Then Charles pinned Claire to the ground. Seeing Claire's resistance, the aunt then told Charles to go to the car and get the gun. After hearing this, Claire complied with her aunt's arrangement, gave up struggling, then took the sleeping pills and fell asleep. When she woke up, darkness had fallen. At this moment, she realized she was locked in the room, and Olivia was nowhere to be found. Claire pounded desperately on the door, then froze as she heard a familiar voice outside. She looked out the window and saw Camilla had arrived, but Charles said they were already asleep and told Camilla to return during the day to pick them up. Claire's hopes were shattered once again, no matter how hard she banged on the window. Camilla also didn't hear it, but after Charles entered the room, Claire suddenly heard someone calling her. She got up and discovered that Camilla had come to the window. Camilla said she would call the police, but Claire quickly told her it was too late. Camilla hurried to the car to get the gun after seeing what Claire had written. The scene shifts, and after Charles gets into the car, he unexpectedly finds that the gun is missing. Then Camilla appeared behind him with a gun and led Charles into the house. But Aunt Beth saw this scene and appeared very calm. Camilla quickly told Charles to go release Claire. Left with no other choice, Charles reluctantly followed her instructions, going upstairs to unlock Claire's door before heading down to the basement to retrieve Olivia. Camilla asked Aunt Beth, "What did you do to Olivia?" However, Aunt said that Camilla was very foolish because the girl in front of them was not Olivia at all. Camilla didn't care about any of that, and proceeded to lock Aunt and Charles in the basement. As they escape with Olivia, the girl keeps muttering, "I don't want to go." After they forcibly put Olivia into the car, Camilla was just about to start the engine to leave. Suddenly, Olivia said she had forgotten her doll, and then she asked Claire to go back and get it. After Claire returned to the room, she couldn't find the doll despite searching everywhere. But as she walked down the stairs, she suddenly saw it blocking the front door, and it also told Claire not to leave, but Claire still took it and ran outside. Reaching the car, she stops dead in her tracks. Blood spatters the windows. When she went forward to take a look, she found that Camilla was already dead, and Olivia was nowhere to be found. Seeing this scene, she had no choice but to return, open the basement door, and release his aunt and Charles because she sensed the presence of an evil spirit. She knows in his heart that perhaps releasing them is the only way to resolve the matter. After Charles came out, he disposed of Camilla's body, and the aunt informed Claire of the truth. She opened a book and told Claire that an extremely violent spirit resides in this house. It wants to use Olivia's body to regain freedom and return to this world. There are 3 doors leading to this world.
它们分别是
The mirror is the first door. It leads to the mind. The mind is the second door. It leads to the body. The body is the third door. It leads to the world and to destruction.
Shortly after, Claire went to find Charles. Charles admitted that he had also been involved in Rachel's murder, but after the aunt was arrested, she didn't turn him in, so he avoided prison. As soon as she finished speaking, Aunt Beth came out of the house. They decided to split up to search for Olivia. Charles grabbed a flashlight and went outside, while Auntie and Claire each entered different rooms inside the house. Claire rushed upstairs. She searched the entire room, checking every corner, but couldn't find Olivia anywhere. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a music box, and curiously looked in the direction from which the sound came. Olivia stabbed Claire with a knife, but thankfully Claire managed to break free. After pushing Olivia down, she rushed downstairs, screaming desperately for her aunt and Charles. But no matter how they called, neither of them answered. Claire quickly ducked into a nearby elevator. As soon as she entered, she saw Olivia's figure. After Olivia left, Claire just wanted to take a moment to relax. But suddenly the elevator began descending on its own, and soon Claire arrived at the basement. She found the inside to be very eerie and terrifying, and as she moved forward, the light suddenly turned red. Claire picked up the stick beside her and then asked who the other person was. Suddenly, Olivia appeared behind her with a knife and walked towards Claire, causing Claire to accidentally step into empty space and fall to the ground. Laura continuously forced Claire to the edge of the mirror and was just about to make a fatal move. But fortunately, Charles arrived in time and covered Olivia with a sack. When the aunt arrived at the scene, she said they could save her soon, but needed the doll beside Olivia. Then Claire and Charles were sent out to search. As soon as Claire entered the room, Charles quickly shut the door, locking her inside. Then they returned to the basement, where the two of them laid out a plastic sheet and proceeded to tie up Olivia's hands and feet. Meanwhile, Claire was vigorously pounding on the door. Suddenly, she heard something, as if someone was approaching. She realized it was the evil spirit standing outside, and then it opened Claire's door. Just as the aunt picked up the knife and was about to kill Olivia, Claire appeared in the basement with a gun. She forced her aunt to put down the knife. The aunt had been trying hard to explain what happened over the years, but Claire, to save her sister, no longer believed her aunt's words. She was about to pick up the knife when Charles suddenly grabbed the gun from her hand. Then the aunt asked Charles to take her away. But just then Claire asked Charles, You want to commit another sin?" He suddenly recalled the scene of Rachel's murder back then, because he had been Aunt Beth's boyfriend at the time. Immediately, Charles began to refute Aunt Beth's words, claiming that he knew nothing. He had only followed aunt arrangements. In the end, Charles and Claire together tied up the aunt. But as for how to save Olivia, Claire and Charles brought sesame paste to the basement. They fed sesame paste into Olivia's mouth because she was allergic to it. They hoped this would wake her up and force the evil spirit to leave her body completely. Soon, Charles covered Olivia's mouth, and shortly after, Olivia indeed reacted. Claire was about to inject the medication when Charles noticed the evil spirit hadn't come out, so he always didn't let Claire get an injection. Immediately, the entire basement began to shake, while Olivia's body struggled more and more violently. Not long after, the evil spirit seemed to sense that Olivia was about to die. Accompanied by the black gas that Olivia expelled from her mouth, the evil spirit left her body. Seeing this, Claire quickly injected her with medicine. With their combined efforts, they finally managed to save Olivia. The next day, Claire and Olivia packed their bags to leave the house. At this moment, Charles walked in, handed Claire a stack of money, and said that Aunt Beth wanted to apologize to them. After Claire accepted the money, Charles offered to drive them home. However, just as they brought their luggage downstairs, Olivia said she couldn't find her doll. But she felt it was no longer needed because they believed everything was already over. But suddenly, the living room door closed by itself. Seeing this scene, Charles quickly suggested they exit through the back door. But just as they were halfway there, Aunt Beth rushed out after hearing the noise. Afterwards, they then entered the basement. Claire saw Olivia crouching there, holding her head. Just as she was about to ask what was wrong, she was suddenly knocked to the ground by an evil spirit, and also shattered a mirror. Immediately after, Claire saw the evil spirit in the fragment. She picked it up and seemed to have injured it, then immediately ran away from there. Everyone quickly escaped to Aunt's study. Just then, Aunt Beth suddenly remembered something in the book. She flipped it open and asked, "Why don't evil spirits die after leaving their hosts?" Lisa immediately spoke up, saying that she could see the spirit, because in the basement, she had injured it, and now on the broken pieces there were still traces of the evil spirit's blood. Hearing that, Charles immediately smashed the mirror, then used those sharp pieces to create a demon-killing knife. Then, they placed all the mirrors together so that as soon as the evil spirit appeared, it could be destroyed immediately. What they hadn't counted on was the spirit's ability to control the lights. When Olivia pulled out her flashlight, the cabinet door behind her suddenly flew open, and the evil spirit dragged her away.
What happened? What happened?
She's gone. It took her. Claire? I don't see her. She's not here. The basement! The basement!
Seeing that Charles couldn't break through the basement door, Claire quickly remembered they could use the elevator instead. But just as the aunt and Claire stepped inside, Dashan got locked out. The scene shifts. Olivia's been dragged into a room by the evil spirit, who's now forcing her to recite the spell that will release it. Luckily, Olivia catches a glimpse of the spirit in a mirror, and stabs it with a glass shard. Downstairs, Charles hears the spirit's agonizing scream, and immediately races upstairs. When the door opened, he found the evil spirit had lifted Olivia up. Perhaps when the evil spirit saw Charles coming, it dropped Olivia. Charles stepped forward to attack the demon, but was no match for it. The spirit forcefully pushed him against the wall and continuously pushed the mirror towards him. After recovering, Olivia picked up the pieces from the floor. Just as she was about to step forward, Charles told her to run. After Charles's death, the evil spirit wrote on the wall that if Olivia didn't recite the spell, everyone else would die. Seeing this, Olivia rushed downstairs, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't open the door. Then the evil spirit headed toward the basement. She saw that scene and immediately tried to rush over, but with all her strength, she still couldn't open the door. The scene shifts to the aunt and Claire in the basement. Claire spotted a shadowy figure floating by and thought it was Olivia. Just as she was about to approach, the evil spirit knocked her to the ground. When she got up, she found the evil spirit was about to kill her aunt. But outside the door, Olivia began reciting the spell, drawing the spirit toward her instead. When the aunt woke up and heard about it, she quickly told Olivia to stop immediately. After Olivia heard it, she stopped reciting the spell. But then the aunt picked up a glass shard from the floor and began reciting the spell while looking into the mirror. Sure enough, Claire heard it and moved toward her. Claire hurriedly stepped forward to stop the scene. But at that very moment, the aunt had finished reciting the incantation and handed the shard in her hand to Claire, hoping that once the demon spirit possessed her, Claire would immediately kill her. When the evil spirit had completely entered the aunt's body, she began to react. Seeing this scene, Claire quickly killed her aunt and then walked out of the basement. After they reported to the police, it didn't take long for the officers to arrive at the scene. Then they brought Claire and Olivia out from inside. Once they were in the ambulance, Claire told Olivia to keep the matter confidential. Do not tell anyone. And after the police finished collecting the evidence, they left. As the camera shifted, the candles in the basement suddenly went out. From a structural perspective, this film exerts a strong sense of oppression, both visually and audibly. The low-angle shots create a suffocating atmosphere that is quite striking. The color palette masterfully builds that eerie feeling, especially the murky darkness of the basement that makes your skin crawl, and that mirror. What do these really imply? I think the director intended to express that while we can see ourselves in mirrors, the film's evil spirits reside within them, seemingly metaphorizing human nature in reality. This results in the creation of numerous horror elements. The director skillfully uses human vulnerability and resilience, perfectly embodied in Claire. From initial fear, she gradually developed into strength, fiercely resisting and challenging the evil spirits. Beyond the main storyline, the director subtly weaves in an emotional arc, depicting Olivia's growth from being possessed by the evil spirit to ultimately battling it. Not only that, but there are also complex relationships between family and relatives, such as the aunt initially being unwilling to accept them. On the surface, he appeared disdainful, but in reality, he wanted to protect the two children from harm by the evil spirit, which is why she immediately rejected Camilla. After being misunderstood by Claire and Olivia, she did not abandon the two children but instead kept trying to save them, showing his dedication despite their misconception. Although she almost hurt Olivia during the ordeal, when they were about to leave, the aunt apologized and stuffed money into their hands. After Olivia was dragged into the basement by the evil spirit, she heard the noise and rushed out immediately. In the end, she sacrificed himself to ensure Claire and Olivia's safety. It is evident that the aunt's love is truly great, and the film's plot reflects just how important family cohesion is in the face of difficulties. With this, the entire piece concludes.